I'm at Champlain Tower. Something's going on here. You got to get us out of here.
Is there a fire?
No. The building collapsed.
Captain, hey, the Champlain Towers, the building, it collapsed.
Why did the Champlain Towers fall? We don't know the exact cause. Federal investigators are the only experts on the ground with access to the evidence.
There are literally thousands, if not millions, of buildings this height or higher, and when do you ever hear about them just collapsing?
ABC News has taken an extensive look at the condominium's 40-year lifespan, using public records, expert accounts, access to footage of the collapse, and the aftermath that help gives insight into what may have led to this tragedy.
Surfside actually is at the northern boundary of Miami Beach. And so Surfside always had that independent spirit, didn't want to be part of Miami Beach, and wanted to stay an exclusive enclave that it remains to this day.
And as its own city, the Surfside Building Department regulates the construction and safety of buildings within its borders.
Surfside and Miami Beach in the 70s and 80s were in a period of decline. There were environmental issues within Surfside. Miami-Dade County put a building moratorium in place in the 1970s because there were concerns about the levels of sewage.
The Champlain Towers were the first condo built after the moratorium. The Champlain Towers South and Champlain Towers North were completed in 1981, followed by the Champlain Towers East in 1994. And according to a Miami Herald report from the time, the developers, losing thousands of dollars a day in landholding fees, agreed to cover half the $400,000 to make the repairs to the sewage and water system. However, there's no evidence of this having anything to do with the collapse or the structural integrity of the building.
When things happen related to building construction, builders are generally the scapegoats and the immediate where the fingers point. And it may be the quality of the building. But then the other end of the problem with a building, and the one that is most common that we see, is fail to maintain. One of the most important things about building maintenance is weatherproofing.
Early signs of damage to the pool deck and garage ceiling were reported in 1996, stating that the area needed concrete structural repair. The work was completed and certified to the city in November 1997. The repair has been performed under the inspections from beginning to completion. Over 20 years later, in 2018, ahead of the Miami-Dade County mandatory 40-year building recertification, structural engineers found that failed waterproofing was causing major concrete structural damage to the pool area. Despite the report, a Surfside official told the condo board in regards to the Morabito report that it appears the building is in very good shape. Efforts to reach the official have not been successful. 3 years later, a letter to tenants reveals the building was nearing a July 1st deadline to begin payments on $15 million in repairs for the 40-year recertification. The deadline was just days after the condo collapsed.
What we know for sure is, an engineer's report was done in 2018, and none of those things were taken care of. So, as bad as the engineering report was, and it talked about building design and structural failures and slabs that had reached their useful life, 3 years later, when things are that bad, is an enormous amount of time.
However, the report gave no indication the building was at risk of collapse. On June 24th, 2021, just moments before the collapse, water was filmed flooding into the garage.
There are many stores of the building that went down. The building just went to the sinkhole. So there will be many people dead.
Okay.
With half the building still standing and no clear cause of the collapse, emergency crews worked to clear the area.
Hey, everybody behind the fire truck and follow the fire truck right now.
Right? No, hold on. Right? Nobody can get in there. Right? Nobody can get in there right now.
We had 12-story, 136-unit apartment complex that had sustained a partial collapse. It's approximately 55 apartment units. Our units began search and rescue efforts. They pulled 35 occupants that were trapped inside the building.
13 hours after the collapse, Fire Chief Alan Kaminsky updated nervous families and residents.
We're actively searching. Right now you might not see presence from above because we're underneath. We've had our canines searching as well. Unfortunately, right now we also have an active fire that flared up.
The building's not there. My parents' apartment's not there. It's gone.
We don't want her to hurt and be in pain. At the same time, if they're alive and they really want to be alive and they're fighting for their life, I hope God lets them live.
6 days after declaring a national emergency, President Biden visited with families and officials to offer his support as the rescue continued.
Because we're committed not only to recover, but to restore the safety across the board.
9 days after the collapse, incoming weather complicated the search for survivors.
Officials are now considering demolishing the rest of the building, especially as Tropical Storm Elsa advances toward Florida.
Well, this morning I signed an executive order issuing a state of emergency due to the threat posed by Hurricane Elsa. We have a building here that is tottering. It is structurally unsound. And so if the building is taken down, because we don't know when it could fall over.
On July 4th, the rest of the building was demolished.
At this point, we have truly exhausted every option available to us in the search and rescue mission.
14 days after the collapse, the search for life was over. The last person was found on July 26th. 98 people died in the collapse. In light of the collapse, neighboring Miami inspected more than 500 buildings within the 40-year recertification process to identify any obvious structural concerns. In Surfside, buildings over 30 years and 3 stories were notified to begin recertification in advance of the 40-year deadline. Investigators are also looking into any impact that the construction on a neighboring building, 87 Park, may have contributed to the instability of the Champlain Towers.
You're going to have a lot of experts, a lot of engineers, a lot of testing, going all the way back to the plans of the building themselves and the engineering calculations to the construction effort and even the maintenance, since then.
A Florida judge has determined families and victims will receive an initial settlement of at least $150 million collectively, $50 million in insurance, and approximately $100 million in proceeds from the sales of the property. At the conclusion of the investigation, the Miami-Dade County Grand Jury will look into how to prevent this kind of disaster from happening again.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.